Have you guessed what we're doing today? Unfortunately, it is time for me to show you the one thing that sucks about the tower garden. And it's not just the tower garden, it's any other hydroponic system or anything else growing wise that you're going to do in the garden. You have to take care of it, you have to maintain it, and you have to clean it. So I've been putting this video off more and more because this is my outside unit. My outside unit is one that I bought on Facebook Marketplace a few years ago for $100 with the light kit and everything. And you could tell it had already been outside in the weather and had some yellowing going on, that kind of stuff. But I really don't care. It doesn't affect the function of the unit itself. So it's time to clean it up, and we're going to take it into the indoor tent. So at the end of this video, I think what we're going to do is something that I've never done on this channel before. And we're gonna show you my inside grow tents that I have in the garage. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely stick around. But first we have to get this thing cleaned up before it could ever go into the grow tent. It's been outside all season. This is the one in previous videos that I had the melons growing in. And they actually did pretty good. I think I planted them a little bit too late, so I didn't get a ton of them, but I think I got 8 of them, something like that, 8 or 9 of them. They weren't giant, they were canary melons, but they were really good, and the chickens actually loved them. My chickens are crazy over melons, so the chickens ate most of them. So I brought you out here to my work table because it's just going to be a little easier to do out here. And we're going to be able to use the hose. And what I use is the good old Dawn dish soap. If this is your first time tearing down and cleaning your tower garden, or even if it's not, you've probably looked up a bunch of videos out there just like I have, and you've seen quite a few of them talk about how citric acid is the way to go. I don't have citric acid laying around, and I do clean these regularly. So it's not something I want to buy and not something I want to do. So I stick with good old-fashioned Dawn dish soap and get yourself a scrub brush. Now I do it outside first. I use the bottom tub. I tear the whole thing down, fill the bottom tub with soapy water, take each piece, scrub it down in there, and then we go inside for something I haven't seen anybody out there tell you you can do. And it's something that just about every one of you out there have. So stick with me, I'm going to show you that one. And if you stick with me even longer, I'm going to show you my indoor grow tents, which is something you're probably going to want to see. Now the first thing I usually do, and I've already done it about a week ago because it makes it a whole lot easier, but I did take pictures, so I'll stick the pictures up here and kind of flash them through as I'm telling you this. First thing I do is I go through and I tear all the foliage off of it. I move the tower garden. I dump the water out of the tub, and I leave it up here and let all the roots and everything dry because it's so much easier to get everything out of this tower garden once it's all dry and brittle. So I have already pulled the pump out. I have already pulled the hose out. Those are things that I normally do when I do that. From there, let's talk about how to tear this thing apart and get it ready for cleaning. The first thing we're going to do is remove the shower cap. Now inside the shower cap you have 2 wing nuts. I don't have the washers on mine. The wing nuts just work fine, so I didn't use the washers. But you're going to go ahead and take the wing nuts off. And be real careful where you set stuff like this because you will be missing it when you go to put it back together. Now once you take those wing nuts off, you have released all the tension on this tower. That's what it compresses as you turn them. It compresses all these pieces together. So now go ahead and remove the shower cap. And remember, these have been in operation for quite a while through your grow. So there's a lot of gook in there holding it together. So sometimes you got to tap it, wiggle it, and then just lift it up off of the supports. Now you get to start to see the gook inside. Notice that I didn't pull these. I had a couple missing, but notice that I didn't pull the rock wool. Now it's not so important when you're dealing with the high capacity pieces, but you'll see when we get down toward the normal capacity, I pull one layer, then I remove the net pots and the rock wool, and it just keeps everything in a lot better shape. So at this point, I'll go through and just lift all the rock wool pieces out. And you can see all the brittle roots, and that's why I let it sit there and dry for a week. And once you get all the pieces out, just wiggle it around. It will let go. Sometimes it's tight. And lift it off of there. Same thing, go through, pull all your rock wool out, roots out, and lift each level off. It's important to note that there is nothing holding this together once you take the wing nuts off. So each level itself is ready to be taken apart. Kind of a neat design, I think. And sometimes it does do good to give it a hit, and it will release where all the gunk is. And I just keep a bucket down here that I throw everything in so I can dump it in the trash when I'm done. Now when you get down to this level, depending on the configuration, here's where you're going to have your connectors for the second set of rods. Get yourself a wrench or some pliers and just turn it at the bottom so it actually comes off of the bottom and comes off with your top rod. Just makes it easier. And now all your bottom pieces are free. And here's what I'm talking about. These little net pots are different than normal hydroponic net pots. So it's not something you can just run to your grocery store and buy. So by taking the level off and just wiggling and lifting these out of here, helps keep them from breaking. We've all seen the videos where everybody just grabs them and pulls them. And you can do that. And honestly, I haven't had any break, but I've been afraid that they would. So if you look, there's actually a lip around the front side of these and none on the back side, the way they snap in. It makes them unique to Tower Garden. And then go ahead, pull the roots off, pull the rock wool out, and see, they get brittle. Now, I had an experiment going where I cut the bottoms out of these, so it's a little bit different. So you really, as they start to get older, you don't want to be squeezing on those. Same thing, pull your roots, pull the plant, and get your rock wool out of there. Just save you some money in the long run in case you're breaking any of these. And then once you get all four out, just reach in there and pull your dried roots out. You might still have some that are damp. Then it's easy just to pop the whole piece out. And look at those roots. Same thing, just lift your net pot out of there and do it till you get all the way to the bottom. And then yank all those dry roots again. And they are definitely dry. Now your very bottom one is not going to lift off of there because it's bolted from underneath. Okay, we got it back up on the table to show you this next part. So when you look down in here, you actually have a screw and a screw that hold it to this white rail. So you're gonna need a screwdriver or a drill with a long bit. On these two, there is no nut on the bottom. And now you got to remember that the rods go through and are connected from underneath. So now you want to flip over your tub which your tub does have 3 of these holding it down, so just undo those. And then you're going to undo the wing nut and the wing nut. And now be careful when you flip it back over, your rods are loose, so they'll come right out. And I was wrong, there's actually 4 of the screws in there. And now you have permission to smack it around and it'll come right off. Now when you look in here, we're all disassembled and ready to get started cleaning. And now we're at the point where I can show you why I think it's better to do this outside. Grab the hose. And once you rinse this tub out, you can use this to put your soapy water in, your citric acid, whatever you want to use. I'm going to use good old Dawn dish soap, put a good amount in there, and fill it up. Now I typically only fill it about halfway up, because if you look, even your biggest pots, they still have a ton of residue in it, but most of the time it's on the bottom. So you can actually submerge it because of the holes that are on the bottom and give yourself room to see what's going on when you're scrubbing. Definitely let that sit in there a little bit, and then it's going to be a little easier to get the roots out of the bottom. And you can see how the tough stuff sticks down there. But once it starts to get wet, you can usually start to peel it out. Sometimes you have to let it sit for a little bit. And now we just go around and scrub each piece. And just make sure you have a little bit of patience and go at it, because it will come out. But this is what I was talking about the yellowing. And I'm not sure if citric acid will do anything with that or not. But it's not a big deal to me. So why spend the money? I'm just going to keep scrubbing it the way I do. Okay, these clouds behind me are way darker south, and they're moving this direction. So I'm going to go ahead and scrub up the rest of the pieces, and I'll meet you in the house. I just find that it's easier to do the initial cleaning stuff, the really dirty stuff, outside with the hose. It just makes it a whole lot easier, and you don't have to clean up the mess in the kitchen. But if you're lucky enough to have a big sink, like my wife talked me into putting in when we bought this house, you could do it all right here in the kitchen. I'm just showing you an easy way to do it. So now we're in the kitchen. What's this big thing I talk about that I haven't seen anybody else talk about? To me, it's one of the biggest things when it comes to the nasty job of cleaning the tower garden. Take a look. Yes, I put my tower garden pieces right in the dishwasher, and I'm sure there's videos out there. I just haven't come across any videos that talk about putting the tower garden pieces in the dishwasher. So I bring them in here, I scrub them in the big sink, I put them right in the dishwasher, and then you know they're clean, they're sanitized, and they're ready to go, because you don't want anything carrying over from your last grow to your new grow. If there was bacteria, disease, or any of that stuff in here that could harm your new plants, you want to make sure it's gone. So the sterilization part is what I really like the most. But it does clean it up, and these things can be difficult to clean. Let me show you a couple things over here at the sink. If you're lucky enough to have one of these big sinks, and it's like I said, I'm not giving credit to myself. My wife was the one that wanted to buy one of these, and I absolutely love it. If you're lucky enough to have one of the big sinks, you can actually bring the pieces right inside, and it's a lot easier just to clean them that way. But there's a couple spots that you need to really know about up front that are just ones that you got to pay extra attention to. So on the big pots, or really any of them, where they make their connection to each other, you'll get a calcium buildup. Depending on your water quality, the better your water is, the less you're going to deal with this. And remember, this was an outside unit. For the little net pots, I just fill up a big tub like that with Dawn dish soap and soak them overnight, and then they wash really easy. I don't put those in the dishwasher. And then you have the water pump. It sucks water in through the vents and pushes it up through this tube right here. So that screws in right there. That screws into the bottom, and it pushes the water straight up the center. So that center tube right there, each one connects, so it sends water all the way up that tube until you get to the shower cap. So you want to make sure that you keep this in good running order. You will lose suction cups. I have on all mine, it's just the way it goes. I have another one I just found over here. But you want to keep the insides clean. This is not something that I have heard is approved, but I want to show you what I do, and it seems to work because I've never had one fail. So fill up the sink with the hottest water that you can that'll come out of your faucet. And then just put a little Dawn dish soap in. So you can do this with either size sink. If you have a 2-bay, it will work just fine. The pump's really small. But go ahead and fill it up enough to where you can actually submerge the water pump. I usually go ahead and just rinse that hot water through the pump first. Get it all nice and rinsed. Well, I mean, the water's coming out anyway. And then just plug it in. I'm just going to run this for a minute or two, let that cycle through the pump, clean off all the insides, and then I'll run clean water through it just to rinse it all out. You can see the power those pumps produce though when they kick on. It's got to have a bunch of power. I mean, those towers are 5, 6, 7, 8 foot tall depending on how many sections. They do also have an upgraded pump that you can get if you get really tall. If you go out to that max height, that pumps even more. Hey, something to let you guys know too, because it just happened overnight. My wife was looking around on the Tower Garden website and saw that you can apply to be an affiliate. Since you guys know how much I love Tower Garden and I've been doing the videos anyway, I applied to be an affiliate. So my affiliate link I'll put right across the bottom of the screen here, and I'll link it in the description. If you decide to do anything on the Tower Garden website, click on my link or enter the code. It's just hashtag Chili Prepper when you're on their site. And I'm not quite sure yet what it does for you if you get a discount or anything like that, but it gives me a small commission. And I'm going to be pushing a lot more Tower Garden videos anyway, because I have 3 of them. So if you're buying Tower Garden stuff anyway, click on my link and help me out. And then of course you've got your rods, everything. You can just clean by hand, just like you're washing dishes. Throw it in the sink, scrub it down, and it's ready to go. Of course, once you're clean and sanitized, it's time to put the beast back together. And I'll link the video I did on how to assemble it at the end of this video. It's a really fast, easy, to the point video. So let's take a look at what the Tower Garden looks like finalized, and then as I promised, we'll take a look at the tent setup that I'm working with in the garage for the wintertime. Once you get all set up, getting from start to this point doesn't take very long, especially when you're talking about lettuces and some of your other leafy greens, but lettuces especially. I mean, really get set up within a month, month and a half, you're going to be at this point. And I pull a huge salad off of this Tower Garden every day, and it's still in this state. Let's go out and take a look at what I'm trying out in the garage, because I need your help and advice on something. All right, you're seeing it for the first time on YouTube. I haven't shown my tent setups or any of my indoor stuff other than the kitchen on this video yet. And the video, I mean, obviously the channel's not that old. But take a look. So this is a 4 foot by 4 foot, one of the zip up tents with reflective lining. It has the metal poles that you put it up, just a normal tent. I don't even know, honestly. Oh, there it is. It's a hoo-hoo. An H-U-H-U. What a name. Okay, it's a hoo-hoo. H-U-H-U. So I ended up with this. Again, you guys know that I look for the deals. Facebook Marketplace, a couple years ago, a guy was getting out of growing, which when you see all the tech involved in this, you probably know exactly what he was growing. He wasn't growing vegetables. But another $100 deal, and it came with a giant grow light, tent, all the AC Infinity stuff. It's got the 3 of the AC Infinity fans inside, big exhaust fan. So look for the deals. You don't have to jump in there and go broke doing this, is what I'm trying to tell you. So now I need your advice on something. I'm trying to set up this tent. 4 foot by 4 foot is not huge. I have the one Tower Garden that I just purchased in here on the right side. I can fit the one that we were just washing, that was my outdoor one, here next to it. I've removed the big light right now to see how much room I have, and I can do it. But it's not going to leave me much room. Let me show you. So by putting a second one in over here, I'll be able to unzip the back side and work both sides of the tower garden. So I've got this giant grow light that can fit in there with only one tower garden. This thing is huge. It is, there's the tag of what it is. But it's a V1200, 1200 watt, and it says actual power 520 watts, I think equivalent of a 1200 watt. It's got built-in fans in it. This is a beast of a light, and I love it. I love having it in there, but it does consume a lot of power, so there's that to think about. So I do have room, and if I do it, I can put it up here to the left side of this tower garden, run one tower garden, and then that leaves me this room that you see down here, which is about 2 foot by 4 foot, that I could put 5-gallon grow bags, the Dutch buckets, whatever I want to for the giant onion, put a shelf in there if I need to, and then have the big light up above as well to help with some of the more light needy vegetables that I can put on this side of the tower garden. So do me a favor and let me know what you think in the comments down below. I can put the other outdoor tower garden in the greenhouse for more experiments there, because I have some aquarium heaters that I'm going to put in the tanks to keep the water at the temperature I want. So I had thought about putting that tower garden out there with its light set up and have the lights come on and off to help supplement the sun, since the sun's not up a lot, and keep the water heated to the point that I want it to be, like a 60 or a 70 degree, to see how the plants do in an unheated greenhouse but with heated media. And then in here I'm going to do the same thing and put the aquarium heater in it and keep it regulated to help keep the tent warm. So even if I don't have that big light running, I think it'll keep it plenty warm enough. And I run my lights all through the night to generate heat in there through the night, and then I have them shut off during the day when it's the warmest. That just tends to help it, and I think this year it'll be great with all the cold weather crops. But I'm curious what you would want to see. Do you want to see 2 packed in here, or do you want to see 1 in the greenhouse, 1 in here, and 1 in the kitchen throughout the winter growing months? I'll be curious to know. I'm leaning both ways. I honestly want to do both. I think I can produce a lot of food with 2 side by side in here. It might work really well in the greenhouse too. So this channel's for all of us. You guys are going to be the ones watching out there. So let me know what you would like to see and follow throughout the winter months, and maybe even the summer months next year. And always remember, you don't have to be a prepper to be prepared. And I'll see you on the next one.